Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on KREM 2 News at 6. I'm Tom Sherry.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Whitney is off tonight. The Washington Department of Corrections may be closing more than a dozen units at its facilities all across the state. That's because they are seeing a significant number of vacant beds.
KREM 2's Amanda Rowley spoke exclusively with the DOC about these potential closures and shares how they could impact employees and the inmates.
The inmate population is declining across Washington Department of Corrections facilities. This could mean the closure of 18 living units in 12 of its facilities. The department is reporting about 3,600 of more than 18,000 beds are currently empty throughout its system. That's about 1 out of every 5 beds empty.
It's a fluid situation.
DOC spokesperson Jackie Coe says the decline in capacity is due to several factors.
A decrease in sentencing and referrals by the local courts is one contributing factor. Also, some population reduction efforts such as rapid reentry, furloughs, commutations, and the Supreme Court ruling of State v. Blake has also led to a decline in our populations.
The DOC is also projecting significant changes to inmate populations following the state legislature's passage of Senate Bill 5121. It expands eligibility for the graduated reentry program, which involves electronic home monitoring for inmates.
So what that means is that we expect to see more beds in our facilities become vacant due to people moving into this program.
The department sent out this memo to employees and stakeholders. It includes a list of the 18 living units that may close.
So could these closures mean layoffs?
So we're confident that these units, these closures will be occurring over a planned 6-month time frame, and we're able to reduce the impacts to permanent full-time employees. By managing the reduction in staffing on a gradual basis, increasing staffing provided in the budget approved by the legislature, not filling existing vacancies.
She says the next step is to gather input from inmates and their families about the potential impacts. Then, in the coming months, the department will formulate a final plan. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
By the way, the Airway Heights Corrections Center not identified as a facility for unit closure, which is why the DOC spokesperson Jackie Coe says it is unlikely that it will be impacted at this time.
Well, 3 not guilty pleas today from Tacoma police officers that have been charged in the death of Manuel Ellis. Tonight, all 3 have bailed out of jail.
Lionel Donovan from our Seattle sister station heard from Ellis's family this afternoon.
Superior Court now in session. Judge Michael E. Schwartz presiding.
Today, the Ellis family faced 3 of the officers involved in the death of Manuel Ellis for the first time. Christopher Burbank, Matthew Collins, and Timothy Rankin watched from Pierce County Jail as they heard the formal charges against them. Burbank and Collins are charged with second-degree murder, while Rankin is charged with first-degree manslaughter. All 3 charges have the potential to put all 3 behind bars for the rest of their lives. But today, the topic was their immediate future. The judge listened to the prosecution and defense go back and forth on the conditions of the officer's potential release. But Ellis's family members were disappointed to hear an amount so low.
And the person that I depended on is dead now because of their actions. So it's very hurtful to know that the judge was willing to give them such a low bail when I know people that have committed crimes for less who've received way higher bails. And none of those were murder charges.
But despite the bittersweet ending, the family is moving forward, insisting that there's even more at stake than these 3 men.
It's not just the officer defendants. It's not just the killers of Manuel Ellis. It is the system that enabled them to this point. It's the system that continues to push in such a way that they only receive $100,000 bail. And I promised myself.
All 3 officers now are going to be restricted from traveling beyond the counties surrounding their home addresses until their time to appear in court.
Let's switch gears now and talk the forecast because it is Friday of the Memorial Day weekend. And my goodness, what a forecast it is, right?
Unbelievable. More like a 4th of July forecast than a Memorial Day forecast. 62 degrees right now. Tomorrow we'll see seasonal temperatures. You can take a look at the wind. Remember this time last night we'd had a peak wind gust of 49 miles an hour. Still breezy out there at 16-mile-an-hour winds. Some showers up to the north of us in areas of northeastern Washington and northern Idaho. No thunderstorms, though. These will decrease increase as we get past sunset tonight. We'll look for a seasonal day on Saturday. Should be pleasant at 73. And then temperatures 11 degrees above average on Sunday at 81. And then 15 degrees above normal temperatures on Memorial Day Monday with a high of 85. And in my 10-day forecast, I actually have temperatures next week getting into the 90s. I'll have all the details on that coming up in a few minutes.
Looking forward to that, Tom. Thank you very much. Well, this Memorial Day weekend, we'll see a spike in travel due to easing coronavirus restrictions all across the country. In Los Angeles, travels are crowded into LAX. Look at that. And other airports around the U.S. ahead of the Memorial Day weekend. AAA expects that more than 34 million people will hit the roads, while 2.5 million will fly as COVID-19 restrictions are lifted across the country. Most of Washington state now under a drought advisory, and officials are worried for a wildfire season. That means this weekend people need to be extra cautious of creating any flames. We'll talk more about that drought coming up later in our broadcast. And finding a campsite in Idaho this weekend could be a challenge. In fact, the Department of Parks and Rec says there is not a single campsite available across the entire state. The only sites left are first come, first serve. Thousands of campsites were reserved 9 months in advance through the online system. Places like Ponderosa State Park have also already booked up for all the holiday weekends throughout the summer. So you'll have to plan ahead if you're planning on camping in Idaho this summer.
Wow.
My goodness, right?
9 months in advance to make reservations.
Camping is competitive, and I think COVID made it even more competitive.
And people want to get out.
Right, do something.
And it's great to be outside, right?
Exactly, yes.
All right, well, everyone is heading outside to celebrate the unofficial start of summer. So coming up, we remind you how to stay safe while enjoying your holiday weekend. That's next.